Here's what nobody tells you about buying your first drone. The $300 you spend isn't the real cost. The real cost is the 3 months you waste flying the wrong machine, getting frustrated footage, and eventually convincing yourself that maybe drones just aren't your thing. Except that's not true. You just bought the wrong drone for the way your brain works. Right now, DJI has 2 drones sitting at dramatically different price points, and they couldn't be more different if they tried. The Mini 4K at around $299 and the Neo starting at $199. Both shoot 4K, both fit in your hand. But here's what's wild. If you choose based on specs alone, there's a 50-50 chance you'll pick the one that makes you miserable. And I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen to you. Stick with me through this entire video because at the 8-minute mark, I'm going to show you a decision tree that'll tell you exactly which drone matches your flying style in under 30 seconds. But if you skip ahead, you'll miss the one critical limitation that DJI buried in the fine print, the thing that makes one of these drones completely unusable for certain types of flying. That detail alone has changed dozens of purchasing decisions in my community. I'm not here to tell you which drone is better. I'm here to tell you which drone is better for you. And those are 2 completely different questions. The 2 philosophies. Let me explain something that's going to reframe this entire decision. These aren't 2 drones competing for the same job. These are 2 completely different philosophies about what flying should feel like, disguised as budget versus ultra-budget options. The DJI Mini 4K is what I call a pilot's drone. When you fly it, you are the operator. You're managing wind. You're planning shots. You're thinking 3 moves ahead. It rewards skill, patience, and deliberate decision-making. Think of it like driving a manual transmission car. You have control, but you also have responsibility. The footage looks incredible when you do everything right, but the drone isn't going to save you from your mistakes. The Neo is what I call a director's drone. When you fly it, you're managing the creative idea, not the aircraft. The drone anticipates problems. It corrects mistakes before you notice them. It smooths out your amateur inputs and makes you look like you know what you're doing. It's designed primarily for hand launch, palm landing, and autonomous tracking modes. Think of it like driving a Tesla on autopilot. You're still in charge of where you're going, but the machine is handling 1,000 tiny decisions every second to keep you safe and smooth. Neither approach is superior, but here's the trap most people fall into. They buy based on features and price, then try to force the drone to work the way their brain naturally operates. If you're a planner, the Neo will frustrate you. If you're spontaneous, the Mini 4K will stress you out. And here's the thing that makes this decision interesting right now. The Neo represents a completely new category of ultra-portable, AI-first drones, while the Mini 4K is a refined traditional drone at an entry price point. Don't confuse the 2. Battery life reality check. Let's talk about battery life, because this is where expectations crash into reality harder than a drone without GPS. The marketing says one thing. Your actual flight timer says something completely different. And understanding that gap is the difference between getting the shot and landing in frustration. The DJI Mini 4K claims 31 minutes of maximum flight time with no wind in optimal conditions. In perfect conditions, hovering in place with no wind, minimal movement, you might actually see 28 or 29 minutes. But that's not how anyone flies in the real world. When you're climbing to get altitude, fighting wind to hold position, moving forward at speed, rotating for different angles, and adjusting constantly to frame your subject, you're realistically landing with about 20 to 22 minutes of usable flight time. And here's what's critical. That number is predictable. The battery doesn't suddenly nosedive from 40% to 10%. It depletes consistently, which means you can plan around it. That consistency matters more than you think. When you know you've got 20 solid minutes, you don't feel rushed. You can take your time setting up a shot. You can try something, decide you don't like it, bring the drone back, reposition, and try again. You're not constantly watching the battery indicator with anxiety, calculating whether you have enough juice to get home. That mental freedom translates directly into better footage because you're thinking about creativity instead of survival. Now the Neo claims approximately 18 minutes of maximum flight time, and in perfect conditions, you'll get close to that. But here's where things get interesting, and this is something most reviewers gloss over. The Neo is working way harder than the Mini 4K during flight. Its electronic stabilization is constantly processing. Its tracking systems are analyzing frames in real time. Its smaller size means the motors are working harder to fight wind. When you activate subject tracking, enable the advanced AI features, and fly in anything above a light breeze, Your actual flight time drops to somewhere between 10 and 13 minutes with a safe reserve to get home. That sounds terrible until you understand how this drone is designed to be used. The Neo isn't built for 20-minute exploratory missions where you wander around looking for interesting shots. It's built for rapid deployment, often launching from your hand, capturing a specific moment or tracking sequence, then landing back in your palm. It's a quick-draw camera, not a surveillance platform. And when you use it that way, the shorter battery life actually becomes irrelevant because you're never trying to stretch it. Here's the practical reality. With the Mini 4K, you're buying 2 to 3 batteries and rotating through them for a long afternoon of shooting. With the Neo, you're buying 3 to 5 batteries and treating each one like a magazine in a camera. Different workflows, different costs, different mindsets. Neither is wrong, but you need to know which one matches how you actually shoot before you commit. Wind performance and stability truth. Let's talk about wind, because this is where beginners usually have their first oh no moment, and where the engineering differences between these drones become impossible to ignore. Wind isn't just an inconvenience. It's the single biggest factor determining whether your footage looks professional or like it was shot during an earthquake. The Mini 4K approaches wind with its level 4 wind resistance rating, approximately 10.7 meters per second or 24 miles per hour. It has stronger motors relative to its weight, a larger frame that provides more surface area for the motors to work against, and most importantly, a true 3-axis mechanical gimbal. That gimbal is a physical piece of hardware that keeps the camera level no matter what the drone body is doing. When a gust hits the Mini 4K, the drone tilts to compensate, but the camera stays locked in place. The result is footage that looks calm, even when the flight wasn't. This is why you see so many people recommending the Mini 4K for landscape work, coastal flying, and mountain shots. In those environments, wind isn't occasional, it's constant, and the Mini 4K just eats it. You'll feel the drone working harder. You'll see the battery drain faster, but the footage stays smooth, the horizon stays level, and your shots stay usable. That mechanical gimbal is doing exactly what decades of camera engineering taught us to do: physically isolate the sensor from movement. The Neo takes a completely different approach with its single-axis gimbal, combined with Rocksteady 3.0 electronic image stabilization and horizon balancing. Instead of overpowering wind, it predicts and adapts to it. The Neo uses a single-axis mechanical gimbal for tilt stabilization only. The drone's software is constantly reading accelerometer data, anticipating gusts, and making micro adjustments before the movement shows up in the frame. In light wind conditions, under level 4, or about 17 miles per hour, this system is effective for its intended close-range tracking purpose. The footage doesn't just stay stable, it stays smooth. There's a fluidity to Neo footage that sometimes looks more natural than the Mini 4K, because the electronic stabilization smooths out not just wind, but also your piloting mistakes. Every tiny overcorrection you make with the sticks gets filtered out before it reaches the final video. It's like having a professional gimbal operator inside the drone, second-guessing all your bad decisions. But here's where the limitation shows up. In moderate to strong wind, the kind you get on exposed ridges, open fields, or beaches with onshore flow, the Neo starts to struggle significantly. It's not that it becomes completely unflyable in all conditions. It's that the footage starts to show strain. You'll see wobbles during aggressive movements. You'll notice the horizon drifting during sustained gusts. And most frustratingly, you'll start to feel the battery drain accelerating as the motors work overtime to keep the drone stable. DJI explicitly recommends the Neo for calm to light wind conditions only. The difference in how these drones handle wind creates a difference in how they feel to fly. With the Mini 4K, you feel like a pilot managing an aircraft. You're aware of the wind, you're compensating for it with your inputs. You're thinking about it as a variable you need to control. With the Neo, in appropriate conditions, you feel more like a creative director. The drone is managing the wind for you, and you're just focusing on framing and movement. It's a more relaxed experience, right up until the moment the wind exceeds what the software can smooth out. Here's my practical advice. If you're flying in consistently windy locations, coastal areas, mountaintops, open plains, the Mini 4K is going to give you more consistent results with less stress. If you're flying in urban environments, parks, forests, indoor spaces, or places where buildings or trees break up the wind, the Neo's intelligent stabilization will work within its designed parameters. Know your environment, choose accordingly. Altitude limitations. Alright, here's the limitation. I promised you earlier, the one that's buried in the specs and almost never discussed in reviews. Both the DJI Neo and Mini 4K have regulatory altitude limitations that vary by region, but the Neo has an additional physical design constraint. The Neo's maximum altitude is 120 meters, 394 feet, above the takeoff point, while the Mini 4K can reach higher altitudes depending on regional regulations, typically up to 500 meters in unrestricted areas. You cannot fly the Neo higher than 120 meters, not in sport mode, not with custom firmware, not by changing regions in the app. It's a limitation that DJI built into the drone intentionally, and there is no workaround. Now, before you react to that, let me give you context, because your reaction is going to depend entirely on what you plan to shoot. In most countries, recreational drone pilots are legally limited to 120 meters, 400 feet anyway. In the US, it's 400 feet, which is about 122 meters, so the Neo's limit is right at the legal ceiling for most recreational flying. For 80% of casual users, this limitation will never matter, because you're legally not supposed to fly higher than that anyway. But here's where it becomes a problem. Elevation changes. If you're standing at the base of a cliff and you want to fly up to the top, the Neo measures altitude from its takeoff point, not from the ground below it. So if that cliff is 150 meters tall, you physically cannot reach the top. If you're flying in mountainous terrain and you want to get a shot looking down into a valley, you're limited by where you took off, not by where the drone currently is. The Mini 4K, depending on your region and settings, can climb significantly higher. In some regions, up to 500 meters. Even in restricted regions, you typically get at least 150 to 200 meters of regulatory ceiling. That extra headroom doesn't mean you should fly irresponsibly or illegally. What it means is that when you're flying over uneven terrain, near cliffs, around tall structures, or in mountainous areas, you have the flexibility to adapt to the environment. Here's a real-world example. I was shooting near a coastal cliff that was about 180 meters from the beach to the top. With the Mini 4K, I could take off from the beach, climb to the cliff top, then descend back down to capture the layers of the cliff face in a single continuous shot. With the Neo taking off from the beach, I would hit the altitude ceiling before reaching the top of the cliff. The only way to get that shot would be to drive to the top, take off from there, and fly downward, which completely changes the shot, and often isn't practical or legal depending on where you are. DJI made this decision deliberately. The Neo is positioned as an ultra-portable, selfie, and close-range tracking drone weighing only 135 grams. It's designed to follow you on a bike ride, capture your hike through the woods, orbit you at a party, track your kids at the park. For all of those use cases, 120 meters is more than enough. In fact, for subject tracking, you rarely want to be more than 20 to 30 meters away anyway. But if your vision of drone flying includes dramatic landscape reveals, sweeping mountain vistas, shots that start low and climb to show scale, or creative perspectives that require altitude, the Neo's ceiling becomes a non-negotiable limitation. And here's what's frustrating. You won't know this matters to you until you're standing in front of something incredible and you realize the drone physically can't get the shot you're imagining. This is why understanding your shooting style before buying matters so much. If you're primarily shooting people, events, action sports, and social content, the altitude limit is irrelevant. If you're drawn to landscapes, travel videography, real estate, or creative cinematic work, this limitation will haunt you. Camera systems explained simply. Let's talk about cameras, because this is what everyone obsesses over, and ironically, it's probably the least important difference between these two drones if you understand what you're actually comparing. Both shoot 4K video. The Mini 4K records at 4K over 30 frames per second and 2.7K over 60 frames per second with a 1 over 2.56-inch CMOS sensor. The Neo records 4K over 30 frames per second with a 1 over 2-inch sensor. Both produce footage that looks good on Instagram, YouTube, and even on a TV. The difference isn't just quality. The difference is how they achieve that quality and what situations they're optimized for. The Mini 4K uses a traditional 3-axis mechanical gimbal system. Picture a tiny, ultra-precise robotic arm that holds the camera completely isolated from the drone body. No matter what the drone does, tilt, spin, shake, the camera stays level. This is the same technology that's been used in professional camera stabilizers for decades. It works because physics works. There's no processing delay. There's no algorithmic guessing. The camera is physically held steady, and the footage reflects that. What this means in practical terms is that Mini 4K footage has a very clean, clinical look. Lines are straight, horizons are level, movements are deliberate. When you watch footage from the Mini 4K, it looks carefully planned, even when it wasn't. This is fantastic for establishing shots, landscape work, real estate, and any situation where you want the footage to feel calm and intentional. It's also more forgiving in post-production because the image is already stable, which means you have more flexibility to crop, punch in, or apply additional stabilization if needed. The Neo uses a single-axis mechanical gimbal for tilt-only, combined with rock-steady 3.0 electronic image stabilization and horizon balancing technology. The gimbal handles pitch, keeping the camera mostly level vertically, but yaw and roll, horizontal rotation, and side-to-side tilt get handled by software. The drone is essentially taking a slightly larger field of view than what you see in the final video, then cropping and shifting that image in real time to smooth out movement. When EIS works well, and on the Neo it usually does in appropriate conditions, the result is footage that feels more organic. There's a slight flow to it, a naturalness that can actually look better than mechanical. Final verdict. Here's my final take, and I'm going to be blunt because I've seen too many people make this decision based on hype instead of honesty. If this is your first drone, and you want to learn traditional piloting skills while getting professional quality stabilization, buy the Mini 4K. Not because it's objectively better, but because it teaches you core drone flying principles. If you discover you want more automation later, you can add a Neo as a second drone for specific use cases without losing much money. But if you start with the Neo and realize you want more control, longer flight time, better wind performance, and professional stabilization, you'll feel limited way faster. However, if you already know you want to appear in your own content, if the idea of hand-launching a palm-sized drone appeals to you, if you want tracking modes without learning stick control, if ultimate portability matters more than anything else, buy the Neo and embrace what it's designed to do. It's designed for you. Embrace the automation. Trust the intelligence. Stop comparing it to traditional drones because it's not trying to be one. It's creating a new category. Here's the warning I need to give you. Whichever drone you choose, give it at least 10 flights before deciding whether you made the right choice. Your first 3 flights will be awkward with either drone. By flight 5 or 6, you'll start to understand its personality. By flight 10, you'll know whether you chose right. Don't make judgments on flight 2. And definitely don't immediately buy the other drone because you're frustrated. Give yourself time to adapt. The biggest mistake I see people make is buying both drones thinking they'll use each one for different situations. In reality, most people fly one 80% of the time and the other sits on a shelf. Commit to one, learn it deeply, master it. Then, if you still want the other, at least you'll be making that decision from experience instead of speculation.